You want to be liberated from the chaos of working in your business, and we're here to help you do it. This is Scott Beebe, the founder and the head coach of the Business on Purpose platform. And take a listen in as we answer a real life in the trench question for one of our small business owners. Okay, so if you frame the discussion, and let me say this, I feel like this could be likely the most pivotal discussion you've had with a team member in a long time, for two reasons. Number one, because of the team member who's involved, and number two, because I think this takes you to another level in your leadership, quite honestly. So frame the discussion well. So let's go back to our foundational stuff. What I see, not what I feel, what I see. Because the feeling's emotional. There's immediately boxing gloves, going up. And here's what I see. So you start out and say, hey, I want to have an intentional time of coaching right now. Lay it out. That's what I want to have. And to do that, I want to tell you what I see and not what I feel. So this is just what I'm observing. Number one, what I'm observing is there seems to be a vacuum of respect. And vacuum of respect to me feels different than a lack of respect. Anytime, if you recall when we did the training a couple weeks ago, what did I say over and over again at the beginning? Here's my goal for you, my goal for you, my goal for you. The one thing. I want you to take away one thing. And so I kept going back to it because I wanted you to understand throughout the morning that really is my goal for you, is for you to take away one thing. I think it would be very helpful is if you go back, rewind to the very beginning and say, my goal for our time right now is blank. What I wrote down is to maximize you in your role. That's a very positive, forward-thinking, not looking backwards, focused. I want to maximize you in your role because you have the potential. You have the potential for your role. And so if you start with my goal, then you go to, let me tell you what I see. I see your capacity is there. You have the capacity to do it. I also see that there's a vacuum of respect in the room. I don't know why. I don't know the details why, and maybe you do, but I see it. I know it's there. And for me to even give you examples tangibly, I don't think is helpful, other than to say, I see it. It's there. So let's figure out. Now, if, and this is where you got to be really careful not to dive into nitpick. There's a vacuum of leadership because A, because B. Instead, what you do is you say, all right, there's a vacuum of respect, I should say, but what I see on the other side is the potential of a really high-performing team. And I want to get you to a high-performing team. So here's what I think is the barrier. Now, what we're going to talk about when we talk about a barrier is not a specific. We're going to talk about a principle. So if you came in and said, all right, here's my goal for our time, is to maximize you in your role. With that, because you have the capacity. With that, here's what I see. What I see is there's a vacuum of respect, and I don't know why in particular. So I don't want to dive down into details because I don't think it's going to be helpful. But I know that you have the capacity, and my dream in this unit is for us to have a high-performance team because we can. We can have a high-performance team. So let's dive into what I think, based on what I see, is what's going on. And I think what's going on is there is a battle between what's known as the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. And you can even, I just pulled something up here by Derek Sievers who talks about it. He said, one of the most important concepts I've learned is fixed versus growth mindset. People in a fixed mindset believe you are either good at something or you are not good at something. People in a growth mindset believe anyone can be good at anything because your abilities are entirely due to your actions. And they have got data over and over. Now, am I saying that if you've got a skill that it's your top skill, and you've got a skill that you're crummy at, am I saying that you need to work on your crummy skill? Not necessarily, because it may be irrelevant to what's happening. But what I am saying is if you're in a role leading a team and you think that team can't go any further, you're wrong. Well, let me rephrase that. You have a fixed mindset. you don't have a growth mindset. A growth mindset says this team, we can do something with this team as an individual. That's right. And you can follow the mindset of public school teachers. In every, I've heard that in every interview that potential school teachers are taught one thing. Do not miss this statement in any interview you ever go into as a public school teacher, and that is every child has the capacity to learn. Every child. Now, some can learn at this level, some can learn, but they all have the capacity to learn. And that's the growth mindset. And Sieber says the fixed mindset is most common and the most harmful. So it's worth understanding, considering how the fixed mindset believes trouble is devastating. And so when trouble comes, the whole thing's going to blow up. In a fixed mindset, you want to hide your flaws so you're not judged or labeled a failure. In a growth mindset, your flaws are just a to-do list of things to improve. I would almost take this article and walk down and say, I think I've figured it out. It's not a you do this, you don't do that. It's a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. Now, so that's number 4. So number 1 is here's my goal. Number 2 is here's what I see, vacuum of respect. Number 3 is we have a potential of a high-performance team. And number 4 is the fixed versus growth mindset. So this is number 4, what you're doing is you're outing the issue. But you're not outing a nitpicky issue, you're outing the principle. And principles last, right? So this fixed versus growth, it's not true in the 21st century. It's been true forever. And that's what we're after, is a principle, not necessarily a strategy. Potential of a high-performance team, what we could do. And so this is where, so daily huddles are a strategy. Even core values are a strategy. Fixed versus growth mindset is a principle. And that's what we want to get back to. So now number 5, don't draw out the meeting. Number 5, how can we get you from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset? And then
now it's time to implement. Want more free resources to help liberate you from your chaos? Go to mybusinessonpurpose.com. We would love to have you share and write a review of this podcast. Be our delight. But here's the bottom line for you. It's time to implement. With all of these questions, the feedback, the insight, if you don't implement, well, it's what Joe Calloway said. Vision without implementation is hallucination. So go live out your business on purpose.